going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now.
Jimothy.
Now, ladies and gents, I have got another deck profile for you guys, and something that you probably have not seen in a while but would definitely sick of if you ever played Yu-Gi-Oh in 2020. Yes, that deck is Orcust. Now, what I will say, ladies and gents, is we are very close to 200 subscribers, so definitely if you enjoy this content, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and we shall continue with the profile. Now, ladies and gents, starting us off, we are going to start off with one Mech Knight. Well, Yugioh, Orcust, the Mech Knight. Now, obviously, if I had 3 of these, I definitely would play 3 of these. This is your play starter. I only own 1 at the moment. I managed to pull this from Eternity Code, but basically, it can become a tuner, and it can also send cards from your deck to your graveyard, notably World Legacy or Orcust monsters. Definitely a powerful card, as well as being a token generator and being a 1-card Galatea, basically, which is really powerful. So definitely Yugioh. If I had 3, I would run 3, but hey, it is what it is. Next, for our Orcust package, you probably know this by now, running 1 Brass Bombard, double Symbol Skeleton. Sorry for the odd rarities, but it is what it is. Definitely a kind of like a staple. Not many people run Brass Bombard, but I kind of value it, to be honest. We're also running the double Orcust Nightmare, as well as the double World Wand. Not much needs to be said about the Orcust engine. Pretty small, very recursive, and very powerful. I find that these ratios work fine. Next up, we've got a small rocket engine in the shape of double Rocket Tracer and 1 Rocket Recharger. Excellent cards, ladies and gents. This can actually be a easy synchro 8 for a couple of the synchros that I'll go through in a moment. Definitely do value this. Rocket Tracer is just a very powerful card in itself. Now, with the Orcust monsters, they do lock you into darks, but thankfully most of our deck, in fact all of it, is actually dark monsters, so we don't really have an issue with that. We can just keep playing, and the Rocket engine does add a little bit more consistency to the Orcust deck, if you can get it going, that is. So definitely a nice Rocket package in there. Alongside the Rocket package, we're also running a Phantom Knights package in the shape of Ancient Cloak and the Phantom Knight of Silent Boots. This just gets access to our Fog Blades. You can actually side it in VFD and the Phantom Knights Magic rank up launch to be able to go into VFD via Dingisu's revival effect, which is really powerful, might I add. That's something that I'm potentially going to tech in, actually, as I managed to get myself hold of some more cards. But definitely nice to have these 2 in. Allows me to go into Rusty, as well as get my my Fog Blades play up and running. Next up, for some more generic support, we're running obviously the Dark Brothers, who go hand in hand, Armageddon Knight and Dark Grepher. We need to say less about these cards because we all know what they do, just foolish burials on legs, with Armageddon Knight being not a soft once per turn, which is interesting. And we're also running 1 Gizmek Orochi, the Serpentron Sky Slasher. 1 card that I was actually looking forward to grabbing. I could not get a hold of it in its secret rare form. It was just too expensive at the time, but managed with the reprint. It is a very accessible card. It's something that I would urge you to grab a hold of. It can be a bit of a recovery tool, and it can actually kind of swing games in your favor if you manage to get it on field into defense position and kind of just stall out until you get cards into your hand. So very nice option. It can actually pop cards as well by sending cards from your extra deck to the graveyard, which is really useful, or banishing, sorry, which is really useful in certain situations. So 1 Gizmek Orochi. Next, we've got a little bit of a danger engine. We've got 1 Danger Bigfoot, 1 Danger Ogopogo, and 1 Danger Tsukinoko. Now, obviously, I would definitely run Nessie and Jackalope instead of the Ogopogo, and just add in an extra couple of dangers. However, these are the only ones that I could find. Like I said, I've got so many decks and just cards are just floating around all over the place. Potentially Thunderbird would be a good shout as well, because this meta is very much back row heavy at the moment, so Thunderbird might be a good shout. But these are the ones that I'm running at the moment, just to kind of cycle from a deck, get things into the graveyard, and be able to just draw off them, basically. Next, for another couple of one-offs, we have 1 Dino Wrestler Pancratops and 1 Abominable Unchained Soul. Now, these are very much flex spots, ladies and gents. You could actually change these out and put some more hand traps in. You could leave them in. It's just in case I get stuck going second, because if you didn't know, ladies and gents, Orcust, difficult for them to play through a multi-negate board. It's very difficult. Going first, they're fantastic. You can set up, you can basically just set the board up, even play from your graveyard to a certain extent, but playing through a multi-negate board is just not the way forward, especially with this. So these two cards kind of help mitigate some of those problems basically. So yeah. And then finally for the hand traps, we are just running the triple Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion in French, I believe. Who knows why. But anyway, the Ghost Spell is pretty powerful in this format. You can actually change this out and use whatever you want, and like I said, with the other two flex spots, you could put those in. It's entirely up to you with regards to hand traps, ladies and gents. I just managed to have myself a playset of Ghost Spell, so I'll put these guys in. I probably would recommend Ash, or you could even mess with the ratios and have 2-2-2 for example, but I've gone with the 3 Ghost Spell. You guys do whatever you want. Hand traps are always up for debate. You play literally whatever hand trap you want, and there is actually a chance to put more hand traps in, to be honest, but it does mess with the consistency a little bit, especially Orcust is not nowhere near tier 1 no more. You don't really want to reduce the consistency too much. Next we are onto our spells, and for the 3 Orcust spells that we're playing, 1 Orchestrated Babble and double Orchestrated Return. Nice draw 2 for the deck in Orchestrated Return, and Orchestrated Babble just makes everything on your opponent's turn in terms of Orcust just be quick effect. So yeah, you only really need the 1, it's recursive. The Cosmic Cyclone, it's not the end of the world, you can play without this card, but it is nice to have. So yeah. Next, for a bit of a rocket engine, we have triple quick launch to get straight into our rocket tracer, which is fantastic. Not once per turn, might I add. So seeing a couple of these in hand is not a problem, especially if it gets ashed. Yeah. Also, we are running 1 boot sector launch. That's for our striker dragon to be able to just do some plays basically. So yeah. And then for some one-offs, we've got 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Called by the Grave, 1 Raigeki. Nobody expects this. I've started using this in a lot more decks, ladies and gents, and it has proved to be a very, very useful. Springing a Raigeki on your opponent is just fantastic. It either baits a negate or it just wipes all the monsters on your opponent's side of the field, if they can be destroyed by card effects, that is, which is really useful. We're also running 1 reinforcement of the army, which is just, you know what it is. We get Dark Grefile, we start doing stuff, putting stuff in a graveyard. Next up for our traps, we're only running 4 traps. I have decided to go with the double crescendo. You do not need to go with the double crescendo. You can go for the single crescendo. I've just gone for 2 just because I like the grind game and there's a lot of back row at the moment. So games are tending to last a little bit longer than usual. When I say a little bit longer, I'm talking about 4 turns as opposed to 3. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, double Orcust crescendo. You could just drop this down to 1 and put something else in. It's entirely up to you, ladies and gents. We are also running the double Fog Blade as well, just for some more monster interruption. Helps to reborn Rusty as well, which is nice. Yeah, so the double Fog Blade. And that is it for the main deck, ladies and gents. Let's get straight into the extra deck. Now I'm going to start off with the links. So for the link 1s, I'm running 1 Striker Dragon and 1 Link Rebo. Striker Dragon is beautiful. This is basically with Rocket Tracer, it can be literally a 1 card, a Synchro 8, which is fantastic, which will go into our Chaotic Magical Dragon, believe, if that's what the name of it is. And Link Karibo just for the Gishu play. So you can turn the token that Gishu produces into a Link Karibo and then straight into a Galatea, which is fantastic. Also a bit of a battle protection as well, should you recur some of your, should you recur Gishu, that is. Because Brass Bombard does a brilliant job of some recursion. Next up, we are playing the double Galatea. Playing 3, I'm not too sure. 2 seems to be fine. From when I was doing a bit of testing over the weekend, I seemed to be going into 2, and it was not really a problem. I didn't actually make the second one that often, but it was nice just to have as a bit of an insurance policy, especially as the person I was playing against used Trickstar Reincarnation quite a lot, which just banished my whole hand, which was not very nice to say the least. But yeah, double Galatea. Also for the link 2s, we are running 1 IP Masquerena and 1 Nightmare Unicorn, along with the tandem brother of Unicorn, which is, sorry, not Nightmare Phoenix, and 1 Nightmare Unicorn, which is the duo, should you say. So you can go from IP Masquerena straight into Unicorn on your opponent's turn, shuffle something away, and then just have a nice little body on board for your link 4 plays basically. So yeah, really useful. Link freeze, very simple. We're running one Langisu and one the Phantom Knight of Rusty Bardiche. We all know what Rusty does. He's at 1. He's quite useful, to be fair, especially with Dingisu hitting the field every now and again. And Langisu is a nice out to Dragoon, believe it or not. Non-targeting send from field to graveyard. So yes, once you've baited that Dragoon negate, you can actually just send it away to the graveyard and problem is solved. Next up, for some rank 4s, Topologic 0 borrows for those pesky back row decks and just to board wipe your opponent. Again, another out to Dragoon, non-destruction removal, comes back and it's hella big. We like that. And then obviously I had to put in my favorite Link monster in the game, Unchained Abomination. Let's just blow everything up for fun. I like this card. I actually had Orcustrion in here, as opposed to Unchained Abomination, but depending on your matchup you can take Orcustrion in. I like to try and use Orcustrion. It is very powerful. Shuffling 3 of your banished monsters back in, Machine specifically, is really useful, but you can obviously take him out. I've gone through the Unchained just because I like to be a bit more aggressive. As for the XYZs, you all know who it is, the big bad monster himself, Dingisu, Fairness personified, aka not, because he just does stuff that's just not fair. Protect your field, can send monsters away. Again, another non-targeting removal out to Dragoon, because Dragoon seems to be very prominent in this format, and it's just an all-round good card. We like Dingisu, especially summoning it on your opponent's turn and messing with their normal summon or their extra deck plays. So one Borrelo Dragon and one Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. Mill 5, sorry, excavate 5, add 1 to hand, mill the rest to the graveyard. And in Orcust, if you didn't know, it plays out of its graveyard, which is absolutely fantastic. And then no introduction needs to really be made about Borrelode Savage Dragon, ladies and gents. Just an all-round decent card. So yeah, that is it. Now what I will say is I don't typically play cards that I don't have a hold of, so you won't see Forbidden Droplets, which is definitely something you can include in this deck, as well as Triple Tactical Talents. Those cards unfortunately a little bit out of my price range at the moment, so I'm kind of keeping an eye on a reprint, or just keeping an eye on where I can get a hold of some more Rise of the Duelist, which just seems to be eluding me anyway. But ladies and gents, let's get into a couple of combos. Okay, ladies and gents, a very easy play that you can do just requires you to have a quick launch in hand. And as we play 3 of them, the consistency of this happening is pretty high, to be honest, especially in a 40 card deck. So let's just go through it. So first and foremost, you're going to activate your quick launch, which will allow you to special summon a Rocket Tracer from your deck. You definitely want to go for Tracer, not for the Rocket Recharger. Then you are going to go into your extra deck and link Tracer off into your Striker Dragon. Let's put that there just so you can see the graveyard. Striker Dragon is then going to fetch you a Boot Sector launch. Yeah, you're going to activate that Boot Sector launch. Then you're going to pop your Striker Dragon to add a Rocket Tracer back from your graveyard to your hand. Then you're going to use Boot Sector Launch's ability to special summon up to 2 Rocket monsters from your hand. So you're going to special summon back your Tracer. Then you're going to use Tracer's effect to pop your Boot Sector Launch to add yourself a Rocket Recharger. Or sorry, special summon a Rocket Recharger straight from deck. Now obviously you've got 2 options here. You could just play it safe and go straight into Borrelode Savage for 1, which is probably not as useful as you think it is, to be honest. But it is an option. But here, ladies and gents, because we have a tuner and a non-tuner on field, both totaling 8, we can go straight into our Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. Now, when he activates his effect, you are going to mill the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Now, this is complete RNG, ladies and gents, and depending on what you mill, depends on what you are going to play. And one of those cards that you mill, you actually get to add to your hand. So you can excavate 5, add 1 dark or light monster from those 5 to your hand, and then you send the rest of the cards to the graveyard. So I've just shuffled up here just to see what kind of excavation we get. So we would have got a Phantom Knight's Ancient Cloak, a Ghost Bell, Dinoruscular Pancratops, a World Legacy World Wand, and another Quick Launch. So in this instance, I probably would add, well, I can only really add the Phantom Knight of Ancient Cloak, which is not a problem. which is not a problem, and then the rest go to the graveyard. Now world 1 is in the graveyard, so I haven't used my normal summon yet, and I've got 2 monsters unfilled. So there's a lot of things I could do. I could go into IP Masquerade for a start, just to be able to then go into my unicorn on my opponent's turn, and then with the rest of the cards in my hand I could get my Orcust plays going. So that's just your typical run-of-the-mill starting play if you have a quick launch in hand, ladies and gents. It is a little bit of RNG with Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, but at the same time, if you know how to do some of the combos with your decks, you can go various routes to be able to kind of disrupt your opponent and set up. So let's do another combo. Okay, ladies and gents, so finally I'm going to show you a little bit of a combo with Yugioh. Now this is kind of like a typical bread and butter combo, to be honest, hence why people kind of hit Yugioh as a target for a hand trap. So you do have to be aware of it, and it's actually kind of proved to be a little bit better for myself playing one Yugioh, because I don't have to rely on him so much to do so much for the deck at the moment, because we're missing Harp Horror and the consistency issue is a little bit questionable. Yugioh is tending to carry a lot of the weight in terms of combos when it comes to Orcust. But anyway, let's get straight into it. So first and foremost, I will normal summon my Yugioh, which will allow me to get a dump. And typically in this instance, I'm gonna dump my World Orcust Nightmare to the graveyard. I'm just gonna put the graveyard just here so you can see. I'll move Yugioh just over. Now I'm gonna activate Yugioh's effect to actually make a token for myself. Then I'm going to activate Orcust Nightmare's effect, targeting the Yugioh to banish itself to send another World Legacy card or machine, Dark Machine monster from deck to grave. And in this instance, I'm definitely going to send the World Wand. So then I'm going to activate World Wands. In fact, before I activate World Wand, I'm going to link this card off into, if I can find it, my Link Karibo. Then I'm gonna link these two off. In fact, no, I'm not gonna link them off just yet. I'm gonna activate Orcust Nightmare. Sorry, I'm gonna activate World Legacy World 1 to banish itself to special summon a Orcust Nightmare straight to the field. Then I'm gonna link these two off into my, if I can find it, Galatea. Let's put that over there. So then I'm going to activate Galatea's effect to shuffle back in the World Wand to add myself a, oops, turn this around for you, orchestrated babble, or should I say set it straight to the field. You can activate that whenever you like, ladies and gents. I'll put it over here just so you guys can see. There we go. So now I've got a link 2 and 3 on the field, so I'm going to link these two off and go straight into my Rusty Bardiche. Now Rusty's going to activate his effect to dump a Phantom Knight monster from deck, which in this instance is definitely going to be, when I can actually find it, my Cloak. Set a Phantom Knight's spell or trap from deck straight onto the field, which is going to be our number 1 Fog Blades. Then I'm going to banish the Phantom Knight's Cloak to special summon, or to add to hand, if I can find him, my Silent Boots. Now I can special Silent Boots. Now there's a couple of things that you can do here. You can leave Rusty on the field, typically, or if you've got any extenders, you can go into IP Masquerade, for example, and get your Silent Boots off board, and then you can banish Boots to add yourself another Fog Blade. But this is just another typical setup that you can do going first, ladies and gents. Especially as your Fog Blade goes to grave, you can reborn your Fog Blades and go straight into your Phantom Knight Boots. Now there are a few other variants of the combos that you could do, by where you get Yugioh into the graveyard, as well as a Orcust Simple Skeleton, and being able to special summon the skeleton back whilst you control Rusty, to just disrupt the board even more. So there are a few ways that you can go about it, but this is just a basic way of getting your play started and getting you introduced to Orcust. And the funniest thing about this deck is you can just do the same plays over and over and over again. Not so much with Rusty, but especially with your copy of your Orcust Nightmare and your World Legacy World 1, you can just keep doing it over and over again and just basically outgrind your opponent. So that is it, ladies and gents. Hopefully you enjoyed the deck profile. We are so close to 200 subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, you know what to do by now. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I will definitely see you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoyed, Peace.